Good morning and welcome from Ben Thanh Market, Saigon, Vietnam, on Thursday, the 12th of March 2026. And I've just had a bite to eat in this market. It's situated quite close to my hotel, and I'm going to head out into the city and see what's going on. I've been here a day now, and it's been quite a pleasurable trip so far. Definitely very different from being back home in Bangkok, but certainly enjoyable, and certainly somewhere where I'll be visiting again. So we'll head out now and we'll see what's going on in this city. So this is the little street where I've stayed, and my hotel cost 1,000 baht a night, so sort of £25. It's really well situated. Got sort of the Ben Thanh Market there at the end of the street, and then 2 minutes walk away you've basically got the whole of Ho Chi Minh's nightlife area, the restaurants, the bars, the nightclubs, and 5 minutes walk you've got all the luxury shopping, if that's your thing. They've got everything from Rolex, Gucci, Chanel, Bulgari, Hermes. They've got everything here now, so if you're on a luxury shopping trip, that's sort of just around the corner. So we're going to get a Grab now. Grab is usable here, and I'd advise using it, so it's probably the best way to get around the city. The local taxi drivers, the motorbike taxi drivers, I've noticed they start off with a price which is sort of 3 times the cost of a Grab, and you can get them down to sort of a Grab price, but they're not happy that you know that you can use Grab and the price of things. So to save any hassle, just get straight on the app. It's the best way to get around the city. So next stop, I think we'll go to the Military Remnants Museum, and we'll see what's going on around there. So I've just arrived at the Military Museum, and the ticket fee is a staggering 40,000 dong, which is equivalent to $1.50, so it's unbelievably cheap. And it's sort of just coming up to lunchtime, and it's really busy. It's the busiest place I've seen with a concentration of tourists since I've been here. So we'll head inside. We'll have a look around. If you're interested in photography, there's some outstanding collections of war photography, and I must admit a lot of it is quite heavy going and wouldn't be for everybody. Some of it is quite gruesome, you know, when you're sort of seeing the effects of war atrocities and things like that, but it's a very impressive collection. So there's some interesting displays of small arms inside. So you've got the old Thompson machine gun, the famous M1, obviously the pump action 12 gauge shotguns for within the jungle. And I suppose this is when small submachine guns became popular in modern warfare. 9mm, high fire rate, small size. The M16, which I suppose changed the West's idea of a personal assault rifle. It's one there with the underslung grenade launcher. And then the variation of the 16, the M18 Commandos, the shorter carbine versions. Moving on to the heavier magazine-fed machine guns. 250 cal pieces there. I suppose these are the famous 50 cal Vietnam weapons, the Brownings, which were mounted on many armaments, boats, Browning M2. Hydraulic or electric fed minigun, which as long as you've got enough ammunition can give between 4,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute. And the iconic M60 7.62 belt fed machine gun. The sort of huge 50 cals which are here would be vehicle mounted, patrol boat mounted, but they are unbelievably effective on huge ranges. Shoulder launch rocket systems. That would be the famous infantryman's extendable disposable rocket launcher. And then you've got the M72 here, which is the 66mm heat weapon. So that's high explosive anti-tank, and it would have a conical shaped cutting charge within the end. So on impact in there's a copper cone which liquefies, which turns to molten copper, and that's used to pierce through armour, so that the explosion can go inside the armour. So I've just got a cycle rickshaw for $5 to a market. So this poor guy is going to be peddling my 85 kilo carcass around Ho Chi Minh for the next half hour. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So with the queue at the gold shop, I presume prices are high today and everyone's cashing in. Just gonna head and get a bite to eat now. I think there's a sort of locals market about 10 minutes from here, so we'll check that out and get a spot of dinner. I'm just on my way to Central Market and I'm cutting through this park, and one thing that you will notice if you come to Ho Chi Minh is the amount of trees that are, you know, everywhere. All the big boulevards have magnificent trees on. Everywhere is really green. It's one of the greenest cities I've visited in Southeast Asia. It's really nice. So I've just come across this area that's near the park that I was in, and it's sort of got a bit of a old school Khao San Road sort of feel about it. There seems to be a lot of backpackers around here, so I think a change of plan, I'm gonna have a mooch around here and grab a bite to eat around here. Okay. Yeah, okay. So we're just approaching about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The weather has sort of come in a little bit, so I'm going to have a steady walk back to my hotel and then get ready to go out for a bite to eat this evening. This place on the night is really really lively, really impressive. Everything's lit up. You've got the river just at the opposite side of there, and this is one of the busier sort of family areas where most of the tourists sort of congregate. The area that I was just in previously, that has like a walking street that I had to walk down. Everything was pretty much closed. I presume it sort of starts getting busy around 6 o'clock in the evening. But what I did notice of where the location where we are now on an evening, the streets that run parallel with here are a little bit more rough and ready, should we say. So you only have to go one street back, and it's sort of it's sort of a red light district, to be honest. As soon as you get back one street off this main boulevard here, I'll head down now to the government building in front, just towards the statue of Ho Chi Minh, and I think we'll call it a day from there. But looking at the sort of modern buildings that have been built around here, and a lot of them have sort of Citibank on them. And the other big international banks. So the west is fully invested in Vietnam now, because it's booming so much. It's sort of had 20% growth the last few years, and you can certainly see that in Ho Chi Minh. Right, so I'm just about back at my hotel now. So at the statue of Ho Chi Minh, I'm not sure how he'd feel to be surrounded by the Rolex shop, Burberry, Fendi and Bulgari. But here he is in pride of place. If you've got to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. And even if one person decides to come and visit, it's been worth making. I were here for 3 nights, or I will have been after tonight. I'd sort of say that 3 nights isn't really enough, because I definitely want to come back in the near future. I'd say a minimum of 4 nights, preferably 5, I'd say, so you can have a real good look around the city. But I've had a cracking time, and it's a really good place to visit, especially if you're close by, like living in Bangkok or anywhere in Thailand. Thanks a lot for watching. Any comments, any questions, leave them below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Cheers.